It's not necessarily sunny. We might get actually a lot of storms today. We'll see. But still,
Rise and shine. Good morning to you. Another bright new day, and the sky is blue. Gather your gear, adventures lie beyond. No time to rest, quick to respond. Smiling while walking about, enjoying the beautiful day. Cherishing every moment as I make my way. The birds sing in the trees, squirrels scurry around. Light breeze blowing,
good morning.
nature's beautiful sounds. The morning sunshine, energy flows within. Glorious sunshine, shining on my skin. Facing the sunshine, shadow follows behind. Heavenly sunshine, divine embrace by design. Even on a cloudy day, the sun is always there. Clearing in the horizon, engulfed in the sun's glare. Lifting my spirit, now rejuvenated. Embracing the energy, negative feelings has abated. The sun is my light in the heavens above. Watching it rise daily, sense of peace and love. Respect for its power, protection from its rays. Blessed to see it again, living life every day. The morning sunshine, energy flows within. Glorious sunshine, shining on my skin. Facing the sunshine, shadow follows behind. Heavenly sunshine, divine embrace by design.
I decided to start the morning with a song I wrote, Morning Sunshine. It doesn't have to be sunny to be a shiny day, does it? It's how your perspective of things. Every day should be as bright as any other day. At least that's the way I try to do it. But good morning in Germany and Canada and anywhere you're watching, and of course here in the USA. Good morning to Brian. So I don't like to blow people up because I got a weird thing last night on Telegram. That I had to change my account and everything because when I sometimes show it on the screen, I got to be careful. I had a bot, an Iranian bot, asking me about information about Iran. I was like, what? I don't think so. So I had to change everything, and I got to be very careful when I share that stuff on the screen, anything on the screen, obviously. And this is for our fallen and those that have been injured and their families and our troops, specifically, of course, our president, our country. So I lit a candle. I always do that. It's, I'm a Catholic. That's part of what I've done for years, especially in times like this. Anyway, We've got other concerns. It's quiet on Telegram. There's a lot of stuff out there, the back and forth. I'm seeing weird things about reports talking about U.S. intelligence says that we really can't continue this campaign. It's not going to get us anywhere. Iran is prepared for it, blah, 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 blah. And any of those unconfirmed intelligence report indicates. You know what the bad thing about all of this and anything in general in life? Like when you're dealing with stuff like that? Sources say, officials say, these people say. I would like when people could just say what the source is. Really? Just name the source. Then we can reach our own conclusions about the source, no? But when they say sources, we don't know who the sources are. I can't stand that, personally. It's starting to rain here. And it's going to be a nasty day here, weather-wise. But we got this that I've been looking at for a week. And the models were correct. They pretty much were the Euro model. The Euro model. It happened because I shared Minecraft or whatever the hell they play. They're focused on this. But this low pressure, which is a storm, which is going to be a depression, is forecasted to eventually come in here. So this is going to bring quite a bit of rain onshore as it gets closer, the low pressure. The low is like right here. You could see it. If I put it in motion, you'll see it spin. See? See the rotation? So it's right about there now. They were even celebrating that we're shutting down some in the Gulf of, I don't know why it says Gulf of Mexico. They need to change that. It's Gulf of America. But beside that, I mean, when you think about it technically, what is the Gulf mostly comprised of? The United States. You know what I mean? It makes sense, actually, geographically. Despite that, this is forecasted with the cone, you see? It's going to travel west, which is really bizarre. This is a bizarre track. It's going to travel west, and you could see the line in the middle here. And maybe make landfall somewhere in southeastern Texas, east of Galveston. That's kind of bizarre. But it'll be a depression by then. But it's going to bring rain. Definitely going to bring rain to some of these places that do not actually now really need it because they've gotten unbelievable amounts of rain here. Unbelievable. Sad, like tragic in some ways. I know, Marianne, I know. Now, speaking of Canada, next week, I go see Rush. Yes, yes. Can't wait. For my 20th time. Hold on, I want to see what they're putting on Telegram. Trump did not, this is coming from Jerusalem Post. Trump did not approve the proposal presented, which called for a 10-day ceasefire with Iran. This is what the Jerusalem Post is posting. That the president did not approve the proposal presented, which called for the 10-day ceasefire with Iran. And coming from the Jerusalem Post. I don't know. I'm going to get into the weather in a second. Just catching up on Telegram. You know what? My best friend is German. Where is he? Brian. And the one thing his mother was like my mom, my second mom. I grew up in the house, really. Nothing like the food, the schnitzel, everything. Oh my gosh. Even the cakes. Oh my gosh. Love it. And in Canada, how do you say it? Poutine? I love that. The gravy with the curds and potatoes, looks like steak fries almost. Depends on how it's made. Oh, that's fantastic. Why am I talking about all this food early in the morning? Nothing really big on Telegram. So if you live in these coastal areas, You should definitely watch for heavy rain. And even though this is just a tropical, I don't want to say it like that, just a tropical storm. But every time you have these bands, you see the bands, you always have to watch out for isolated tornadoes. I don't care if it's a tropical depression, low pressure, of intensity, depression. You gotta watch out for these. So they're gonna have their weather situation. Up here, you can hear it's raining behind me. Maybe. We've got this line coming in later. I could put the model. Let's play the model. This is coming Bill's way. Look at this insane weather heading my way. Directly. Impact. Boom. Even now, what you're hearing out the door is this. And they're just going to keep coming today. So today's going to be a nasty day here. Weather-wise. The poor folks down here need that weather. There's a lot of dry areas in the country that could really use this. Really. Germans love the United States. The German government does not like the United States. You know, that's an interesting thing you just mentioned, Brian. And it's kind of unfortunate. I'm going to brighten my screen. Because people with people is a different relationship than what, because of politics. You know, I always said that. If people are just with people, people get along with other people. The politics is what makes it so difficult. I always say we probably have a lot more in common than we don't. Just as human beings. Right? We all strive for happiness, peace, prosperity, love, stability, right? Safety. All this, all the things that I think a lot of people strive for. I think music is something that is I mean, it's a global thing. It doesn't matter what language the music is to me. If I like the music, I like the music. Music can bring a lot of people together. Festivals like that. I go to the German festivals. I go to every festival. I missed the powwow this year because I didn't look at the date and it already happened last weekend. I was so upset. I wanted to go to the powwow. I usually don't miss going to the powwows. I missed it this year and I'm not happy about it. Just happened last week. But yeah, I try to go to all the events. I've never been to an event where I felt unwelcomed, uncomfortable. Yes, and I'm just going to be honest. Just based on my skin color, I do get stares, and I notice them. Like, who is this person coming to? And meanwhile, if you saw my ancestry chart, I don't know how much more European I can be. It's like at 90, no it's not, 80% is European. Like a lot of us are. Just saying. The rest is Native American. But it's all over Europe. UK, Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal. Like, I got a mess. And the point is, I love the cultures. I love going to experience the cultures. Music, food, tradition, the people. Communicate, sit down, laugh with them, talk with them. Get to know more about the culture and the people. Do you understand what I'm saying? I have Spaniard in me. There's no doubt about that. I don't even want to get into that, because I'll be here all day talking about it. But you guys get the idea, right? I went to Turkey, and the Turkish people say we love Trump, finish the job with Iran. You'd be surprised privately what a lot of these people in these countries say. They're, again, politics. Publicly, they got to condone this or say this, but really, when you talk to the people, that's when you really get a good sense. You know my position. And again, this is not about warmongering or war hawk or the love of war. Who the hell in their right mind wants to see death, destruction, war, people getting hurt, innocent people suffering, even more than they already are? Alexa, stop. Who the hell would want that? I don't think any person with a rational mind wants that for anyone. But there comes a time, like in his history tells us, sometimes I don't think we learn from history. You have to, I mean, if you think you stand on the side of good versus evil, you must stand up for good and you must confront evil. Because the evil spreads like a cancer. And if you don't do anything about it, it just spreads all over. And then what? You're cornered. You're surrounded by evil. So, for me, it was never about like political. Well, it was. It was. I was always a supportive of the Iranian people, and then after the massacre, I was like, oh my God, how can these people live like this for decades? And they want their freedom. And another thing too is, we have to think in this in general terms as far as demographically. The older generation, the mid generation, then the next level of generation. What do the young people or the people in their mid range think about the current status? Because old ways of thinking hopefully eventually goes away when it's like a situation like that. It's up for these folks, the younger generation. They want their freedom. They want to be able to express themselves openly. It's gonna eventually happen where it's gonna tip the scale, and there's nothing they can do about it because this is generational. It's been going on for almost 50 years. That's a lot of people, a lot of generations affected by this. The flip side of that is a lot of people have been brainwashed and completely coerced to believe and support that kind of ideology. And that's all over the place. So it is my personal opinion that if the regime, and this is just my personal opinion, if the regime were to fall, and I know there's some people, there's opinions everywhere, we all know that. Oh, Iran can fall into another civil war. Well, when change happens, it's not perfect. And depending on the factions in the country, there's going to be that power struggle. It would happen even here in the United States. Look at the current condition. What I'm saying is, I think the vast majority of Persians in Iran want change. That is my own guesstimate, assessment, opinion. I think the vast majority of the people want change. There's always going to be people that want to keep it the way it is for whatever reasons. They have family members in the military, or they're benefiting directly from the regime itself, or they've been completely brainwashed to, like I said, to believe in that ideology. You're always going to have that. It's the law of averages. Nothing is 100% to zero, except having to pay taxes and then eventually going under. There's some certain things that are absolute, right? That's not an absolute. But I think the vast majority of the people of Iran want change. In this country, we vote for change. And in other countries, now you can question all that. I'm not going to get into that whole area. These people have no choice. None. They can't even express themselves. They're closing cafes because of being westernized. Did you see that? They're getting shut down because they have tables on their sidewalks. Where do you see that? I see that all over here. I see that in New York City. And a lot of places. How establishments have tables right outside on the sidewalk. They don't want that. That's westernized. Or the music. They don't want that. That's influencing their culture. They're afraid of that. They think it's sinful. Our influence, Western culture, is sinful to their ideology. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. And I think, my opinion is, if the regime were to fall, it is my opinion that geopolitically, the whole region can change for the better in time, with peace and prosperity and trade, just relationships. Just think all these years of all this unrest, and it all really comes down to not recognizing the state of Israel. That's what really it comes down to from the very beginning. They're the occupation. That's the occupation. They're the occupiers. Now, there are some more moderate Arab states that still have relations with Israel, even though they don't recognize the state of Israel, but they do business with Israel. They have trade. They have investments together. You know, they work together. And then you have countries like Iran and some others, it's actually quite a few, that will never recognize the state of Israel. They're occupiers, and they create what they call the resistance. And the resistance are the proxy groups that terrorize and want to see the destruction of Israel. Now, if you were to change the whole situation in Iran and it flips, let's just say, and the regime is gone, and it becomes a truly, not what we hear that we're dealing with moderate people there, rational people, because that's just insane. If it truly became more of a moderate country, I don't want to necessarily say democratic, like a democracy, because we've seen how that has failed in trying to install that in certain places of the world. That just not going to happen. It's too tribal. You're talking about cultures that haven't changed in thousands of years. But even, and I'm not saying I necessarily am picking one person over the other, but really the people on the street were cheering and saying his name, Reza Pahlavi. Let's just say. He's already said it, and I downloaded the plan a long time ago. The transitional plan. And the important thing is trying to get all these factions in Iran, that at some point, there is, and there should be, a vote for something similar like a parliament in the UK, that they establish a government in Iran, where the people, you have to be inclusive of all the different people that are there still. Which is, it's going to be very complex. But let's just say it changes. He said immediately, right off the top, that he would recognize the state of Israel. That is a game changer. Big time game changer. That right there, not instantly, because you're always going to have extremists and the jihadists spread all over the world, but in that region, they're going to try to destroy that relationship or destroy the new interim transitional government, Iran. That's why Iran will not be stable for like a decade, because you're always going to have that threat coming from somewhere to destabilize it. But let's just say, relationships established with Israel, peace between the nations, no more threat, no more money for proxies. Look what's going on in Yemen. The Houthis, where did they get their support from? Iran. Look around the region. the proxy support. It's Iran. Now, again, I'm not saying you have to necessarily identify and recognize the state of Israel, but at least we can live side by side in peace without the threat of violence and wars ongoing for God knows how long, to when it hits what point. God forbid a nuclear exchange. So to me, the solution is best to try to find a peaceful solution to this, and maybe it may take, sadly, confrontation, war to get there. That's the tragic, ironic part of it all. So, geopolitically for the region, investment, boom, tourism, etc., peace. That region can change because it doesn't have a good history there between them all, really. Sunni, Shia, the Kurds, all these different factions and tribalism, history. Can't we all live in peace side by side? Though we may not agree on things and disagree on, but at least live in some sort of peace. And I think about what somebody said. It's about the people. Don't the people want to live in peace? You think now some are driven by this. They want violence. They want chaos. They want this. But the vast majority of people just want to live in peace and care for their families and live productive lives. Happiness, love. It's so sad. So I know this sounds like a fantasy, but that's what I believed in from the beginning. We have an air quality alert from all the smoke. I know we had the smoke last week, Fringe. So that's just my whole take on this whole thing. So hopefully one day it'll get there. And like I said, I'm not getting into the specifics about, we all have our opinions about how this all started, whose fault is it, blah, 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 blah. Because that can go on all day long. I'm just saying in general, that is my opinion. Peace. Just find the way to get to peace. Peace. You may not, look, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this country. Politically, socially, whatever. We don't all agree here. But it's a democracy. That's how it works. A lot of people, like half the country, this country's split. A lot of things that go on here, a lot of people don't like. A lot of people love. It's not like win-lose. To me, it's always been about compromise. But even here. And of course, it's like, well, I'm right. They put their points. You're wrong. Then the other side is, no, you're wrong. They put their points. I'm right. Get past all that. Just find a solution. Despite everything else. Find a solution. So, and a lot of the times, solutions mean compromising with each other. I think we've lost the word compromise. Communicating with each other, listening to each other, disagreeing with each other, but respectfully. I understand. And you know my opinion. So how can we come together to reach a solution here? That's the difficult part. So that's just my opinion. Let me see what you guys are writing. I'm not going to get into the whole thing because you know how that gets. Whether you're Israel supporter or anti-Israel, that can go on forever because it's been going on since Israel was created. That can go on forever. That debate can go on forever. So I'm not going to get into that whole thing. What's so bad is the urgency blends into the general population. But bong water, that's been the playbook of the proxies for decades. I remember when I was young, human shields using schools, mosques, hospitals, etc. That's not new in the playbook. It's what they do. They embed in the populated areas. Because it's sadly they're using them because if it gets targeted, oh, you just killed a whole bunch of civilians. What do you do? That's the whole strategic basis of it. It's so sick, but that's part of it. Every terrorism is funded by foreign governments, Russian, U.S. trained, Al Qaeda, etc. Same shit with Hamas. That can go both ways again. Again, it's never so black and white. It's never that. It's always complex. Because everybody's got their hand in the cookie jar somehow. Like in the US, China, Russia, their influence in the region, but the players in the region also have their hand in the cookie jar. Yemen supplied so much to Hamas. Money, support, they all have their hands. They're all involved. It's not just like one is and the others aren't. It's complex. It's not black and white. They're all involved. Ghost. But yes, I get it. And like I said, I'm not going to get into this conversation with going back and forth because that can go I can go on for hours and I'll get a headache from it. Next thing you say is CIA didn't know they were trained in funding terrorists too. The United States have been involved, but I can at least say it. But then, when this is what Bob drives me nuts. When people criticize something, they should also be open to criticizing their own situation. It's not just blame, deflect. Others have to take responsibility themselves when they're blaming others. United States build up. This has been going on for a long time. Saddam Hussein. Building him up against Iran. The Afghans against Russia. This goes on and on. It's not like... So we've done that, but the others have done their proxy as well. Foreign proxy involvement. That's like saying, you think we're the only spy agency that goes to other countries, or Russia and China and our adversaries are the only one in the United States spying on us? Everybody's everywhere. Everybody's spying on each other. I mean, even our closest allies spy on us. So, again, it's much more complex than saying, well, you know that you guys did this. Well, what about you? No, we didn't have nothing to do with it. We don't do those things. Really? Really? They all play that game. That's just the way it is. Let me see. I don't know what you're referring to, Marianne. 40 years of blending. Unless people change their way of thinking, and that's being human. But it's not about that. It's about money, power, control, manipulation. Always is. Now that's a different story. Those that are in power want to stay in power. And they use their influences to try to stay in power. Whatever their influence is, wherever it is. That's a fact. So Ghost, I would say that. You know what I mean? That's part of the power game, the money game. That is that. If you want, I will rephrase it as that. They want their influence for domination. The superpowers, especially. Russia's really a puppet, not puppet, a paper superpower. It's all based on the military, but their economy is toast. But you get what I'm saying, right? And no disrespect to anyone. So, Ghost, don't take that as a disrespect what I'm saying. It's just a, you know, I'm not disrespecting you. Allies had munitions in Red Cross. Yes, boats. And when the Nazis attacked, they claimed they were victims. But don't you know that in history, one is always going to claim it's being victimized? That's part of it. I mean, my God, why do you think the Chinese-Japanese relationships are the way they are? Just think of what the Japanese did in China. My God. I mean, at that point, the United States was helping the Chinese. How things change, you know, historically, it's almost like the enemy, like say, my enemy's enemy is, we have that in common, is now my friend. Because we share a common enemy. At the moment. Then how quickly things change. It's crazy. Bill get what? I can't read that. Why am I having problems reading this morning? Get hell let loose Vietnam. Yeah, Vietnam was... Again, we're picking specific things. This is not a history lesson today. So, again, it's complicated. And sometimes governments make poor decisions, which cost lives, money, etc. So, you know, you hope for the best, that they find the better solutions and not pick the worst. I honestly think nobody, well, there are some people. I think the majority don't want to see war, death, destruction, innocent suffering. I don't think anybody in their right mind would want to see that. There are, trust me though, there are sadistic, sick people out there that actually enjoy it. They enjoy hurting other people. That's part of their character. They think it's funny. They take joy out of that. It's like they're entertained by that. Just think of the mental state. And there are people like that. Look at trolls. They have nothing better else to do than to troll others and try to create that sense of chaos and just to do it. And they feel good about doing that. For whatever reason. Is it personal? Do they not like the messaging? You know? But just think about that. There are people with that intent to spread negative against people they may not know, or just because they disagree or don't like you, but still they'll come after you. Why do they spread that hate and anger? That just goes to show you the social conditions we live under. And somehow we have to change that to more positive. That's a tough task. That's a seriously tough task. So, you know, it's hard to find peace. It's easy to start conflict. It's hard to get back from the conflict. As we could see what's going on right now as an example in the Middle East. It's so easy to start something. It's finishing it. And then sometimes, like if you say you're arguing with somebody, could be about anything, and then you get down to the dirty stuff, and you start getting personal attacks on people. So much so that you know you're saying it to hurt them. And then they'll say something hurtful to you. And these could be people that are your family members or you're close to, known them for decades. Then what happens? How hard is that to repair the damage that was just caused? It may never be repaired. It's so easy to be confronting, angry, this, that, the negative. It's hard to be positive. That's just my philosophy. Like, it's so easy to be, I could be spewing on here like hate and anger and fuck you and this. Do we need more of that? Or do we need more message of positive peace for all of humanity? But a lot of people will say, you're living in some real fantasy. Why does it have to be a fantasy? We should make that a reality. Why does it have to be a fantasy? Why can't it be a reality? Again, I don't have to agree with you. You could be my neighbors. It doesn't matter. We don't have to agree. I respect your opinion. But that doesn't mean the majority of the time we're hanging out together, we're having a good time, and we know that we don't agree on this. Leave it alone. Okay, we know where we stand here. All good. It's your approach and how you deal with the situation and how you work around a tense situation like that. Because easily I could have a conversation about anything with anyone, with politics or this or that. It's the tact. It's how you go about doing it. That you don't make the other person feel uncomfortable, because it doesn't take much these days where people get offended. Especially if they're on the opposing side. Once they identify you're on that side, they know that's the flag. Right away, they'll start distancing themselves away from you because you represent the other side. Oh man, I used to like that person, but you know what? He's this or she's that. Man, I don't know. It's over politics. The vast majority is over politics here. And just think about that. That people's relationships with each other for decades or whatever time frame it is, friends, co-workers, neighbors, whatever, loved ones, are willing to throw all that away from years of relationships over a disagreement on politics. Think about how crazy that is. Because people are so passionate and they get emotionally driven. And that's what I was saying earlier. Sometimes they'll say things to each other because they get so upset. And it's not even talking about the issue at hand or whatever they were initially discussing. It turned into something else. Something ugly. Because then it got personal. Attacking. It goes in the gutter. Quick. It doesn't take long. And that damage is irreparable in many cases. It's irreparable. And if you even get to the middle point of that, they'll still say, oh shit, he's a Democrat. She's a Republican. This person's this. Man, I don't know if I want to associate with that person as close as I was. That's all it takes. And what does that cause? Divide. Instead of taking the approach of, look, I get what you're saying, and I respect it. I may not agree with it, but it's something that we can have further discussion on, in a civil way. It's all about tact. But the people, you know what another problem is? People think impulsively and rashly when they speak. They don't think about what they're saying. It just comes out because it's passion. It's all these emotional feelings, and they just spit it out. The first thing that comes to the top of their head, they just spit it out without thinking of the consequences of what they're saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, like here, at least we have a civil discussion, and we may not agree. That's fine. But it's not like I'm gonna say to somebody, "Well, you're an a-hole," or "You're this." I'm not gonna criticize you. You've lost your mind. Everybody has an opinion from their perspective and how they live their lives and the environment that they're around. We all have different life experiences. People are gonna, from that alone, you're gonna have a different opinion on everything, and that's the way it should be. Like Brian's in Germany. My best friend's German. I very close with his family. Have I ever been to Germany? Do I know what it's like in Germany to live there all my life and grow up in that environment and everything that goes on there? Hell no. It's all based on what a person's life experience is. PTSD moments, relationships, personal issues that happen as they were juveniles, young, growing up and becoming adults. The experiences like I said, they've had all their lives. They're going to have a different way of looking at things. Do you understand what I'm saying, though? That's what makes things so difficult. It's good to have a debate. It's always good that a healthy debate. I've got to go today is what? A day that coming into hell. All right, Marianne, you have a great day. Amir, Bill, letting you know it's kind of annoying people that talk about why can't we just be peaceful. Is that hard? Is it hard to love instead of hate? Have no bone in the matter, bring out the conflicts. But that's human nature. Amir, that's just human nature. That pisses people off. Remember how you react when people around you take your rights over yours. Did you never yell at someone? Why did you when you could love? Again, it's part of being human. The emotional outburst. You got to remember, it's not just the rational way of thinking, logical way. A lot of times emotion takes over. Like I said, people have been affected on a personal level. And it affected them. And that's why a lot of the times they'll act emotionally. That's just part of life. You know? No, he's not anti. I'm not going to speak for anyone in chat. Yes. And again, depending on your environment and how you, again, it comes from early age, what you were taught, what you were taught to be, this is history. This is our history. This is the way we perceive things. And it's different everywhere. You think every classroom has the same lessons? No. It's their lesson. It's coming from their countries and their history. And it's definitely different than yours. So, and it's about the influence of the parents and the people around them growing up. There's a lot of things involved. It's complex. Let me see. Yes, Bill, we understand your point. As sad as it is, without conflicts, we would be a bunch of fat, dumb, and happy sheep. No individuality, no innovation, no progress. Again, that's why I said all up in you. We all are different. And that's going to be intact. And like I said, sometimes, sadly, tragically, ironically, war is needed to get to that stage of peace, overall peace. At least that's what you would hope to achieve in the bigger picture. Sometimes that doesn't necessarily work out that way. And yeah, you can't just force peace. Well, you have to create the mechanisms in order to establish peace. By what means? That's the question. How do we get to that end of the road where peace is established, where people can live peacefully together? Again, the United States is a big country, 350 million. With that kind of number, you're going to hear about all kinds of issues going on out there. But in general, I think the vast majority in their lives live in peace. It can be tense. There's a lot of stress, whether it's social, financial, whatever it is. Safety concerns, whatever it is. But generally, live in peace. I live in peace, generally. And it would, I'm just saying, it'd be nice if other people can experience that themselves and not live their entire lives in fear of violence. Again, I don't want to sound like this is like kumbaya and perfect world, because I don't think that'll ever be achieved. As long as there's those that seek to be controlling, empower, and dominate. There's always going to be that. Throughout history, look at it. The empires of the past. So I don't ever see that changing. Just finding a way to all live on this beautiful planet in peace somehow. And also the integrity of their own culture, respect of that culture, how they do their things differently than others do their things, respect of culture. It's complex. Like I said, this is complex. And also religious. It's not just politics. It's religion too. So it's not easy. All right, I'm going to get off this whole thing now. I made my statement of the morning. Let's see. I know you guys are writing about it. But right now, peace is just a fantasy for people who don't believe in Jesus, or for people who live in utopia. That's what I was kind of talking about. Utopian fantasy world. That people really think they can enforce peace. Again, that is, Moses, that is debatable. We're live, yes, Fringe. That's debatable, because if you look at history and confrontations and wars, in not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, did it eventually establish peace? How long does it last? That's the question. The conqueror and the conquered. Peace by submission? Again, this is a very complex, debatable, we can be here all day talking about this. Name calling and attacks are immature and child. Yes, it gets you nowhere. Who said that? Cool Hand Luke. It gets you nowhere. It's like kids in a playground. And you know how many adults behave like that? They act worse than kids in a playground. How many times do you see the fighting during a game between adults as the kids are playing on the field? Like, what the is going on? And what kind of an example does that set? It's again, we can pick all kinds of different examples. I'm just using that off the top of my head. Is it, Fringe? It's acting up? I can see your comments on Rumble, Fringe. Do you know that I looked that up, bong water, and I was shockingly surprised? I thought wars based on religion caused more death and than anything. It's only out of all the wars, it's only like 7%. I was like, what? I thought it was higher than that. I did research into it. It's a low number. I always thought that it was a higher number than that. Now, in recent times, it might be more driven by that. But historically, yeah, you had the Crusades and all, you have all kinds of stuff going on. But I was shocked. I thought the same. I won't ask the A word because that is not as reliable. That's not reliable as a source. I will just say this in general. I don't trust AI information. Where is it getting that information from? What is the AI sourcing for information? Our interpretation of things that's been programmed and the algorithm set? I'm not a big fan of that. So, when people say, Siri, tell me this, or whatever it is, really? That's where you get your information from, and you really, you think that's 100% accurate? You know how many times this device has been wrong? So I'll just say that. I came in and you were playing uplifting music. That's my morning song. Fringe. I lost count how many. What? I was called. Names you were called, but I was never called wrong. Are you kidding me? You know how many times I'm called wrong? And that's okay. Some people can't accept being wrong. They can never be wrong. That's not healthy. Because, yes. I'm not a machine. I'm not perfect. Another thing too is I have every opportunity to change my mind on anything on any given second. It's not just like I'm locked in. I can change my mind. If you guys put in information in there that I'm not aware of, it's going to make me think and say, you know what? I never thought of it that way. That's an interesting point. It makes me think. Now, is that one comment going to change my mind completely about that certain topic or whatever it is? Probably not. But it's still going to make me think, and I might even research more into it to see the validity of that point. They're onto something I was not aware of. It's called being objective. Objectivity is like going bye-bye. It's hard for a lot of people just to be objective because they're so dug in. I'm right, you're wrong. I don't care what you have to say. I'm right. I don't care. You're no way. It's like, you're not going to convince me. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to make a point. And maybe you listen to the point. But since you don't want to listen, anything I say is not going to be seen as a point because you're not listening to it. You're saying, you're wrong. Without even listening to it. Right away, they cut you off. They don't want to hear it. They're dug in. They don't want to hear it. They're not open to that conversation. Because they look at it as like, oh, you're trying to change my opinion, my mind. They get defensive. A lot of times that happens when they know the point that's being raised is valid and it contradicts their own opinion, and it causes that issue within themselves because they won't admit to the truth. They're in denial. Even though they know it's true or right, they'll still say it's wrong because it contradicts everything to themselves. No? Let me see what you guys are saying. Do you think that this gas situation will affect shortages here? Well, has anybody actually monitored what our reserves are right now? Like, how long can this last? And I was watching Steve last night. And yes, based on state taxes or the proximity to the refineries where they make the gas and all, it's going to be cheaper in some place. It costs money, especially diesel, because that's what they use in the big trucks and everything else. It costs money to bring that product to further places in the country, and plus you have the state taxes on top of it. So when I hear people say, well, in Florida it's $3.50, or in Oklahoma, or in Texas, it's right there. Plus you don't have to worry about the state bullshit. But that doesn't represent the vast majority of the country, where the prices are generally higher. Might be not as high for you, but in a lot of places, it's high for a lot. You're not the only American that lives here. Overall, its effect on the country and transporting goods, the truckers. And I'm stupid because now I got to wait for the prices to come back down because winter is coming. I got to fill that 250-gallon tank for my heating oil. I can't do it now because the prices bounce back up. Now I got to wait because I did it before and it worked. I got to wait for the prices to come back down. Not just on the market, that the oil companies actually start to bring the prices down. That reacts slower than the market. It takes them time to bring that price down. I got to start thinking about that. Winter's a few months away. I'm really concerned if this doesn't get resolved. How much am I going to pay in the winter for heating oil? I'm really starting to get concerned. And I think a lot of Americans are concerned overall, in general, about the prices. Because it's not just going in your car and enjoying yourself, whatever you got to do, vacations or go to work or this. It's other things that are affected too. I wish it were that simple. It's not for me. Thank God I got the oil a couple of months ago and I got my tank over half a tank. I don't even want to know what it's going to cost me a gallon now. And this is just in the past couple of weeks. And what is it now? Like $85 for WTI? That's not bad. It's not. When that shit goes over 100, if it does, that's when I'm going to freak. I'm actually going to see my local prices right now. I got to think about this. I have a company that I'm dealing with that they're great. We will fight Iran to the last American. What did Netanyahu say? I gotta read that. Something just came up on Telegram. Oh man, it went up. Fuck. The lowest on locally is $4.60 a gallon for heating oil. I paid $4.30 a few weeks ago. I think it was $4.30. It's 30 cents higher now. Now 30 cents might not sound like a lot unless you're buying 250 gallons of fucking oil. Excuse my language. That shit adds up in the hundreds. That concerns me. And what is the market at right now? Like, what is the price of WTI? $84.47. So I market watch because that eventually is going to affect me here. So I'm going to see if these numbers crunch back down to say in the 70s and watch for the oil companies to reflect those prices. Because like I said, it takes time. Then I got to jump on it. Because I don't know what the future brings. What if this goes crazy and the prices go high again? And that's my situation. Everyone in the country's situation is different. Like I said, in some places you pay less. Some places like Oregon, they pay a lot more, or California. A lot of that is state driven by taxes. But that's something I personally have to keep an eye on because it's going to affect me directly. So, you know, electricity shocked me into reality last eve. Not to change this. What do you mean? What happened, Navy Mom? Okay, so $3.99 in Ohio still expensive to you, but what was it before things got cray cray? It must have been like two and change. I'm just guessing. In Ohio, maybe like 269, 270, and now it's like 1 cent away from $4. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I don't know what other people's experiences are. I'm just talking about my own. We don't have a problem with supply, but prices are higher, and therefore there will be some demand destruction on oil on prices. China is screwed if both. Yes. China and India. Yes. You're right about that, Cool. Who with that? Cool Hand Luke. Yes. Yeah, but you might say that it won't affect the U.S. It's still going to drive the global market prices up regardless. That's just the way the markets work. You think they want to be, let's just say, it's all about money and profits. You don't think the oil companies look at that to make money? You think they're gonna charge less than what, maybe a little less than what the other markets are charging? Then it's crazy. Oh, we have oil for sale. We'll charge 10 cents less or 20 cents less than your barrel. It's not going to be a drastic change because they want to make money. And they're also going to incentivize on the situation that benefits them because now they know that their market is available for sale. You think they're just going to keep it at a discount? No. They're in the business to make money, not lose money. But let me see. Because I know it's down than more than decades now. Oh yeah. We haven't been this low, and the chart only goes back prior to 1990. We're fucking low on our oil reserves. It's the lowest it's been since, on this chart, the 90s. That's bad. Now, how far back does this go? July 10th? Wow. It goes back to 19... Oh, that's a trial they want me to pay. I'm not looking at the oil reserve market like that to pay for it, but the dates are here. Look at this chart. This is the oil reserves. Strategic Oil Petroleum Reserve Stocks, U.S. Look at it. Look how much we've dipped. We're down to here. We are down to here to our reserves. Right here. That's the lowest it's been since the freaking 80s. That's not good. We can't keep tapping into the reserves. Look where it has been for years. For years. And then it tanked. And then it went up a little, and now it's tanking again. We're using it. You could look at the dates. Now this does this year, and they want me to pay to go back further. But you just get an idea where our reserves are currently. They're not good. That's the lowest it's been in decades. Decades. So when we say, oh, we've got lots of oil, well, we better do some shit about that soon because the reserves are getting really low. What are we going to hit it to the bottom? That's what's helping keeping the prices somewhat controlled in this country. It's not just about production. We're tapping into the reserves. That's not good. What? It was $2.49 a gallon in Tennessee. Now it's $3.79. Wow. It was. Oh, really? Fox News came out and said it was the lowest since 1983. Well, that's what that chart says. That goes back to 82. It is. That's a fact. I mean, even Fox reported it. So how long can this go on? What happens, God forbid, if that reserve goes bye-bye? Then what do we do? Prices are going to blow up. That's what's going to happen. Supply and demand. I'm afraid of that. And that's, I don't know how many months away that would be. But this shit has to end soon. Somehow, some way, it's got to end soon. You don't think they know this? Of course they do. The creamers, the closest, still high in California. But California is, historically high. How much taxes are involved in California when it comes to gas? Like, that expense, that it's so much higher in California, Oregon, and some other places than other states. Is it the state taxes on gas? I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm assuming, like New York, that's the case. Took the top mission off, it went. Oh my God, Navy Mom. Yes, but that's also COLA, cost of living increases that the government. You got to remember, how much are we paying each year in just freaking? I think it's over $1 trillion in interest on the debt. Do you realize how much money we pay per year just on interest debt payment? On the deficit. That's insane. So from a conservative point of view, you want to try to minimize cost, expenses, being conservatively with money and everything, all of that. It can't just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable now. Good morning, Diesel. Gas alone is about $4 a gallon in Tennessee, while minimum wage stays 75. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. That's why a lot of people have to work multiple jobs, or everybody's working just to survive. That's just, that's sad. That's the killer, it's the cost of living. And I don't know if, and I don't care what politician it is, I don't know if politicians are out of touch with what a lot of people in this country live check to check and are one check away from absolute chaos. I don't know. That's a great point. Whoever put that in there, who was it with the check to check thing? You'll be fine, Mom. Navy Mom. You'll be okay. Is it? Oh, it's in federal. So California is $1.20 a gallon in federal, state, and local taxes. See, that's a lot. That's a lot. It may not sound like a lot, but that's a lot of money to a lot of people. Hope I'm wrong, but we might start seeing gas lines if this goes on. This cannot go on for much longer. And Iran knows this. And making the deal knows this too. At some point, this has to be resolved. Just on the oil itself. Regardless if we have a lot of oil, Venezuela has oil, they don't have oil, whatever. It's going to affect everyone. Like I said, look at that chart. It's affecting us. We've been holding on. A lot of the countries that were more prepared for a scenario like this are able to hold on a little bit longer than others. But this is not. Look how fast that dip. I mean, look how quickly it's just going down. Now, this is not good. That's our reserves. And like I said, this is, of course, whatever, however, I can't even say the word, but you know what happened in 2020. That's 2020 here. This is more in the middle. I would have to go back, and it wants me to pay, and I'm not going to do that. But how many years is in here? I don't know. Is this like more current to here? How we drop like that? Look at that drop. And look at the drop now. So I don't know, like I said, they want me to pay to get access. I'm not going to do that, just to check out the historical. And I'm sure there's other sites that would show it. Let me just read what you guys are writing. That's just gas. I don't even want to mention rent. Oh yeah, cost of living for rent is cray here. $1,300 a month for a 2-bedroom. Okay, J Money. $1,300 for a 2-bedroom. My neighbor's charging right now, has been for the last 2 years for his current tenants. I shouldn't even say it. How about $2,500 for a 2-bedroom? Double than what you're paying. New York. Double than what you're paying for the same thing. A 2-bedroom. They're paying $2,500. That's holy shit. In New York City, like a 1-bedroom, it's like $2,000 or more. It's crazy. You can't live there. It's too expensive. But see, that's also driven by those who have money. Because what they did, and I talk about this all the time. I was talking about New York yesterday, the city, growing up in the city. Oh, they're going crazy on Telegram. I'm just going to bring up the map a second. And I'm going to explain something to you. And this is what they did in the city. You hear when they say a lot of people are moving out of the city? You know how many of those people leaving the city are poor? They can't afford it. It's gotten too expensive. There's a reason for that. There's an absolute logical reason for that. And it's been going on, believe it or not, when Bill Clinton opened up offices in Harlem. That was the sign. You might be saying, what the hell are you talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a second. Because that was like, holy shit. Because of that, they worked on the entire northern Manhattan area and really started to rebuild it and clean it. The crime went down. It's still El Barrio. It is what it is. But it changed. And I'll tell you why it changed. So here's the city. So what I'm talking about is upper, east and west side of Manhattan. Hold on. We gotta go here. This is upper Manhattan. This is Harlem. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. So there's Central Park. Right in here. Okay? Right in here. Now this is going up on the other side, but really like there's Yankee Stadium. And this is unbelievable. You see these buildings here? These are projects, I will call them. Most of them house people that are Section 8, rent control. Usually, a lot of these are. They may not be now, but they were. Maybe these are. These could be different. But the point I'm trying to make is they really started to rebuild this part in the 90s of Manhattan. This is an incredible change over decades what they did here. The South Bronx. The South Bronx, when I was growing up, is a neighborhood I would not like to go through in the daytime, never go through at night. Condemned buildings, burned out buildings, all kinds of bad characters everywhere. I mean, this was so bad. What did they do? They rebuilt it. Who invested in rebuilding all of this? This is an incredible timeline. If you saw what this looked like maybe 40 years ago, you'd be like, oh my God, what a rebuild. There were so many burned out buildings and all kinds of crazy shit in here. What happened is real estate in Manhattan became a high premium. They said, no. You know what we're going to do? We're going to start developing in here. And we're going to start investing in here. And it drove out a lot of the middle income and definitely poverty-stricken people out of the city. It pushed them out. So they did the rebuild here because they ran out of real estate. You can only build so much. So they started to work on here. And it's an incredible transition, but it changed the demographics for sure. What they did here. You see any of these houses, even a small house, anywhere in here? Do you know how much they're worth? Now it's hard to find them, but say a home, these are a lot of apartments but if you found a single family home in here, you know how much money it's worth? $600,000. $600,000 in the South Bronx. At one point, there was no real estate value at all there. It was condemned. But people don't realize that. When you talk about cost of living, they made it difficult for people to live in the city. Because they bought it up. Pushed a lot of people out. Especially, like I said, middle class and lower. They couldn't live there. It was not sustainable. Do you know what I mean? Cali average price of a house is $915. Now, that's the price for here. If I go where I used to live, it's $1 million. This is the South Bronx, and it's that much money. I never in my mind would have thought it was that value. If I go here, in the old neighborhood, these houses are worth millions. Millions. This is $1 million property here. All of it. Fucking every one of them. My friend lives there. He has one of them. Just as an example, in the Northeast Bronx, Pelham Bay Country Club, really country club. Big money. Big money. So, but the cost of living, very expensive. Throg's Neck, very expensive. Depends on what part of the city we're talking here. But I'm just showing that as an example. Cost a lot of money to live. You got to be making quite a solid salary, not $7.25 minimum wage. You're not going to live like that. Who can? But that's New York City. You know what I mean? So, oh God, yes. The higher the property value, the higher the property taxes. Absolutely. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. My mother's friend, mom is close to this person. He's taking care of his parents in New York City. They're over their average age 95, both of them. God bless. But at some point, he plans to move here. And he wants to expand the house, either up or sideways. That's not going to cost me in taxes? Or us in taxes? Of course it is. You have to change everything about the house. And it's going to be beautiful at some point when it's done. But it's definitely going to add to the bill. And house is just not property taxes, it's homeowners insurance. But it will increase, obviously, the value of the home. But whoever said that, who was it, Thomas? You're right. My insurance went up hundreds of dollars this year. Like almost double than normal. I was like, oh no, more than double than normal. I was like, what happened? What happened? We didn't have a hurricane. We didn't have any crazy weather here that caused, because, allegedly it's rated by your area. I don't see any reason why it went up that much. They just did. I'm talking about homeowners insurance. Car insurance. I don't get the power from the grid except for winter time. It's the solar panels, that sun angle is lower, so it doesn't have that same power production. Summer's fine. Spring, fall. Winter, I got to depend on the grid most of the time. Horrible. Their rates keep going up. And then I'm caught in this decision making. I get a lot of firewood. I try to do as much heat with fire, but that does areas. It's not, I don't have a fireplace in every bedroom. I have to depend on some heating source. Is it electric? I don't have propane. Is it electric or oil? What's going to cost me more by burning oil at a price of $4.50 a gallon? Well, it's actually $4.60 right now. $4.60 a gallon. You know how fast that goes? And I have my friend. He's a what do you call it? An engineer for oil boilers. He works in a big place. He does on the side. He does boiler work. Puts new boilers in. He does all that. And he put the best pin to conserve burning the oil, so it's not using that much fuel. It controls the flow. Even then. So, do I use oil to heat the house through the baseboards, or do I put up, which I have in every room, do I use an electric oil-filled heater? Is it going to cost me more using oil, or is it going to cost me more using electricity and not relying on the oil? That's where it's tricky. Because if I'm paying, just think about this. If I'm paying every 5-6 weeks, because I burn a lot of oil in the winter, if I have to fill out that 250-gallon tank every 6 weeks, winter here is like November to April. November, December, January, February, March, April. 6 months. Filling that thing every 6 weeks. Do you know how much money that is? Thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, if I'm paying $1,000 to fill up that oil tank every 6 weeks, I'd rather heat the house with electric and pay $300 or $400 and not use the oil. Does that make sense? Use the oil heaters in the rooms, and I have a fireplace in the dining room, and I have a wood stove here. I should be fine. Which I do got to call my friend because it's due. I have a temperature, let's call it antifreeze, in my baseboard heating. It goes to like minus 30 degrees to keep the pipes from freezing. I have to put new stuff in there this year. That stuff is expensive too, but my neighbor does all that. He's got to do that this year. I'm overdue. I've got to put fresh new antifreeze in my lines. Because even then, if I don't use the oil, I still have to worry about if the temperatures hit a certain, it goes below freezing. I don't want my pipes to freeze because I got a crawl space underneath here. The pipes are exposed. They could freeze, and if they break, that's thousands of dollars of repair. So I got to be careful. So it's tricky to manage financially to pay, especially when costs are increasing. That's just my personal experience. Yeah, the nozzle, Jim. That's my own personal experience in this. And people go through this in their own private lives, whatever their situations are, regardless. Whatever the living conditions are. Actually, my friend, the boiler guy, and he's a professional, there is a lifespan on that. When it becomes less effective, Jim. I will be visiting the state of Tennessee in a few days. Matter of fact, I should call him. They have lived in Tennessee for 20 years, 13 for you. Deb says she's converted years ago. What's going on in here? I have a joke? Question? How many more Connie supporters does it take to change a light bulb? Answer. None. Ha! Connie just says he fixed it, and they all stand up cheering in the dark. Oh my God. Actually, what time is it? Oh, it's not that bad. I'm going to call him. I got to talk to him about that. Actually, that just made me think. Now, you might say, oh, he's going to charge you just to do the work. No. This is my neighbor. He would never do that. Take advantage like that. That's all about trusting your neighbors and your friends. And I trust John. He's been there for my family since the very beginning. Helped me out. This house was a fixer-upper. He did all the plumbing work here, all the repairs, new boiler, everything. The man he's a great person. Let me see if he picks up. I don't know if he's picking up. He might be doing a job or sleeping still. He works nights. Oh, can't. It'll play to the number. He'll call me back. But I gotta already start thinking of winter. I gotta call I'm calling him next. Rich.
Shop, can I help you?
It is Rich, Bill. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good. Just don't forget me. In September, whenever you have time, I'm definitely gonna need 2 cords. So put me on your list. Don't forget me.
Yep, I got you on the list already. We're all good.
Awesome. So how are you and the wifey doing?
Everybody's doing good.
How was your vacation?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I know you do enjoy it when you travel all over the world during the winter.
We travel every 6 months. Our next one's in July, and then February's Aruba, and then March we have another one. We're going to Dominica, Martinique, 2 other places I can't remember. Then in July we're going to St. Vincent's and the Grenadines to the New Sandals Resort. So we're booked all the way through 2029.
Well, you know what, dude? You work so freaking hard. You deserve it. You and your wife deserve that.
whenever we travel, we're like, oh, finally another one.
Ah! Well, listen, God bless you. And we could do it in September, and there's no rush. As you know, as long as I know I'm on the list, that's all that matters. There's no rush.
You're all good.
All right, send my love.
All right. Have a good day, Bill.
Later. Just to make sure I'm on the list for 2 chords. I gotta confirm that because I'm gonna need my firewood. Now, I still have a very little supply over there. There's not much left. Last winter was brutal. I used more wood last winter than I have in 20 years. But 2 chords does the job for me. Plus, my friends bring me wood from Pennsylvania, so it holds me for the winter. But I got to already start thinking about winter. You know what I mean? I got to start thinking of winter, and I got to still enjoy my summer, but I still have to be thinking about winter. It's like the squirrel collecting the nuts, and those that don't collect the nuts, how do they end up? Could you imagine I called him and he doesn't have no wood? But I've been dealing with him for over a decade. He and I are friends. That's why I could talk to him that way. You know, over time you develop friendships, relationships. Let me see what you guys are writing. When we installed boilers in summer homes, like down the shore and places that people weren't there all the time, and installed glycol, we never went back. But again, how much of it is getting used, Jim? Constantly. I mean, like you said about the water mixture and watering it down. I understand what you're saying. But again, and I don't think he's done that since. I will take his word. I trust your word too because you have experience behind it. It says here it should last 15, 20 years or more. Like you said, if you have no leaks, all barrier tube and no fill fluid between added. That's true. I haven't had that done. I don't remember. I've been living here 20 years. I don't know. So it's probably still good. I don't think I've ever had a leak where he had to purge the system. I don't remember. To be honest. Of course, a clean system to start with makes a huge difference in life expectancy. So I just looked it up. So I'm going to see what he tells me. I'm going to go based on his opinion. I'd rather be safe than sorry. That's just my personal opinion. The average heating oil price right now is $4.13. Not for me. Over here it's $4.60. I just checked. Your oil tank is $275, and I'm using wood. I made it last 4 years so far. It's the longest I can make a tank last. Shit, I wish my tank could last that long. But like I said, I'm trying to incorporate other ideas. Hold on a second. There's stuff coming out on TikTok. Graphic footage of... Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm not going to look at that. Iranian missile and drone attack against Kuwaiti, sirens are sounding. Just now. Seems like there's strikes allegedly in Kuwait right now. Brent Crude, they're putting it... Again, a lot of this information I get is from Telegram, and it's coming from the supporters of the regime. They put a Brent oil, I haven't checked myself, at 91.25. I have not confirmed that. I'm going to have to check. Don't trust. Today's gonna be bad here with the weather. It's 90, 79 right now. So Business Insider has that right now. So you could see when MOU, that was that part where there was a lull. It looked like traffic was flowing through, and now we're spiking up. But look where it was when the war was 40-day was going on. It was up there. But now it's starting to go back up. Now, believe me, if there is a blockade in the Red Sea going into Aden, that's going to boost the prices up. Just that alone. So expect that. That's something to keep an eye on. If they start firing at ships, the Houthis, coming from Saudi ports in the Red Sea, trying to exit into Aden, that could drive the markets. You just gotta watch, keep an eye. There it is, thunderstorm. It's gonna be like this all day. Matter of fact, I'm gonna check the latest radar. Holy shit. It's worse to my south, but we're about to get hit with a cell. Right now, that. Matter of fact, can you hear the rain? The good thing, they've done a lot of, that's the good thing when you pay taxes and the money's reinvested. They did a lot of work here for the trees, the power lines, the roads. That's the one thing I will say about my town. They work on infrastructure. Look at that. It's coming down. Damn, I forgot the blanket. It is pouring, as you can hear probably. Good morning, Dave. Isn't it relaxing? Bahrain and Kuwait is under attack, plus Iran hit another tanker. Jesus. Absolutely, Thomas. Market manipulation. I agree, Jim. It's getting so expensive. That's not the case here in New York. A lot of the utility companies under the first year of President Trump were allowed to, by double, the Biden administration, to raise their rates. By double. Double, allowing them to raise their rates across the country. Like I said, just because it didn't happen to you doesn't mean it's not happening and affecting many millions of people throughout the country. Fortunately, it's not affecting you as much as it is so many others. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's pouring. You can hear it. You don't have to just see it. You can hear it. But it's crazy because we've been lucky in the last few weeks getting the rain. There are still a lot of areas in this country that need rain. I mean, really, really need this rain. Suffering from severe drought in some cases. So hopefully they'll get beneficial rain at some point. All right, let me see. Now I'm going to talk about power outages. It doesn't happen hardly no more. I bet you I lose power today. So if the stream goes bye-bye, you know why. What is this? A drone struck a group. Okay, that's something else. Holy shit, this is what they're saying. At the orders of the Yemeni armed forces, in compliance with the naval blockade, 2 Saudi oil tankers have made U-turns in the Red Sea. That's what they're claiming. I don't know. They're showing interceptor photos over Bahrain and Kuwait. Hold on. I want to see if this is confirmed. Before I say anything. Wow, why is he sort of a sudden... It looks like he had a chummy conversation with the new Prime Minister of the UK. I'm not seeing what was reported. Again, it depends. And I'm with it. I'm with it on this post. But that was yesterday. I really don't like to get into old. He's putting up a lot of photos of individuals that are getting executed in Iran today. A ton. Not a ton, a few. I'll show you. This is what the president is posting on Truth Social. How long ago was this? That he reposted this? 1 hour ago. But this was posted on the 19th. But the latest one of 52,000 plus innocent protesters, savages. When will the Democrats wake up? I don't know what he's talking about in relation to the Democrats, but it's about him finishing the job. You can blame others, but you got to finish the job. This is a post. What did he write? He just shared it. He didn't make a comment. 59 minutes ago. And then he posted this. 50, what is that? 59 minutes ago? Interesting that he's talking about the 2 executions that allegedly occurred in Iran. And he's sending this message about the people of Iran. Interesting that he's bringing that up right now in context to Iran. Trying to show support of the people of Iran. I find that interesting. Those are his posts from this morning. Which gives me optimism, but again, that's his latest posts. But I don't know where they're getting this from. Oh, okay, that's the Mandami reference. I get it. All right, this is interesting. And you know that the United States is working in tandem with the Lebanese government now, you know. They're actually there as observers in this alleged plan between Israel and the Lebanese government dealing with the Houthi, I mean not the Houthis, the Hezbollah. MTV, the Lebanese army intelligence carried out a high-profile operation in the Halhush area of Tyre, during which it arrested a group of some of the country's most wanted suspects on charges of forming an armed gang, opening fire, and extorting protection money from citizens. So the Lebanese army is actually being proactive in trying to confront what's going on in Lebanon? I don't know. That's what just came out. I don't know what to make of that. Alexa, stop. On the flip side, the Netherlands to ban products from Israeli settlements beginning September 22nd. On the flip side, there you have that. Similar to what Ghost was bringing up earlier, it depends on your point of view and your perspective. Allegedly, that's what... Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Oh my God. And I cannot verify this. This is what an Israeli news outlet is putting out there. German teen charged over synagogue terror plot. Again, I can't confirm this, but this is what they're reporting on ILTV Israel News. A 15-year-old boy in Germany has been charged with allegedly planning a terrorist attack targeting a synagogue after prosecutors said he stockpiled a large quantity of pyrotechnic materials to build explosives. According to German prosecutors, the teenager who allegedly expressed support for the ISIS terrorist organization later severed 2 fingers while constructing a homemade explosive device. He's being held in custody as the case moves forward, although his attorney denies his intention to attack a synagogue. That's weird. The Lebanese army says that during its deployment in the southern Lebanon town of Zotar al-Garbia, Israeli forces opened fire in their vicinity. There are no reports of injuries in the incident. The IDF said it would withdraw from that area as part of implementing the framework agreement with Lebanon, under which the Lebanese army will take over 2 zones in southern Lebanon. There's no immediate comment from the IDF or the incident. So it looks like the Israelis are planning to withdraw in this agreement from southern Lebanon in phases as the Lebanese army goes in. We'll see how that goes. So that's what I'm saying. You guys seeing any reports of anything else? Yes. He's supposed to meet with the Lebanese president in the White House. Correct. Let me see what you guys are writing. It is the flash floods. We should be same weather in Pennsylvania. Smoke is rising in Shiraz. But could that be detonations? That's what they've been complaining, that they've been detonating ordnance. Is that an actual strike or is that something else? I don't know. I cannot confirm what the cause of that smoke is. I'm not seeing any reports anywhere about strikes. Shin said smoke rising. Okay, but what's the cause of the smoke? 2 security incidents reported in the Red Sea in the past hour. See, that makes sense based on what they just said about the Saudi tankers. Did you see the English fans singing Burnham is a wanker last week? I did not see that. But it looks like he and the president had a very happy, joy call. Whatever that means. The president was pretty positive about his phone call with the new prime minister. I don't know how long that Cinderella happiness is going to last, but if you read his post about his call with Andy Burnham, seemed like it went off pretty good. But it's still very, very early. Next week it could be all hell breaks loose. Oh my God. He's trying to shame after countries to get involved. Also, 4 ships have changed course in the Red Sea near Saudi Arabia. That makes sense, because they said any vessel going to that Saudi port is a target. They don't want to see anyone go enter that port or leave that port. They're a target. If they go to that port that's transitioning the oil, that east-west pipeline, doesn't matter what country it is. It's not just the Saudis now, it's any country. Today, Trump, yep. I quit using my Alexa. It creeps me out. But the other day, it said my whole interest. I was like, what the hell? Good morning, Will. All right, what's going on in here? If you don't have any wood, you just go to your backyard and cut down the tree. It takes time to season the tree, though. That's the problem, Debs. And that's a lot of work. And not for nothing, I ain't gonna backbreak and I'm not gonna end up paralyzed or with a heart attack trying to cut down trees in my property. I'm one bad lift from being paralyzed. So that's not happening. That's Trump's way. Burnham is just kissing. Oh yeah, for now, Dave. We have to see how that develops over time. I don't think the bromance thing is gonna last much at all. That's a temporary bromance phone call. I mean, just to start it off with a phone call, first time, I don't know if it's the first time, but break the ice moment, they're cordial to each other, they're polite. Like I said, wait till Burnham says something ill to the president, and he's going to flip on him in a second. Not flip, but he's going to go after him in a second. Bill, a service member. What? Yeah, that was a few days ago, Brian. Yes, during a detonation of an Iranian suicide drone. One-way drone. Attack drone. Yes, I saw that. That's why that candle's lit. With the flags. In memory of the fallen and those that have been injured and their families. And the troops. Praying for the troops. And our country. And our president. That represents a lot right there going on right there. You love your little forests. I love my little forest, so I buy wood. Right, exactly. Why are you going to destroy your surrounding and deforest it when you love your forest around you, your woods? Really, that's a great point. Donald J. Felon. I mean, a lot of people have that opinion too, Yes, Burnham is all for green energy, Bill. Again, it depends where you sit politically. All I know is solar works great for me and I've saved thousands. But that's just me. What am I going to say? It's so cheap here, not worth the effort. That's right. In some places it's not cost effective. It doesn't. For now. Is that forever and ever and ever? Those are the things you have to gauge yourself in your own experience. You have to be like, I did the solar 2 years ago because I saw how the rates kept going up, and I'm saying, that's it, I'm done. Before this gets crazy out of control, I want panels. And it saved me thousands. Thousands in 2 years. So for me, it works. May not be beneficial for others. Everybody's situation is different. It's a beautiful day. Well, you hear that? It's a beautiful day, regardless. Oh my God, dude, Mark. I've showed my X-ray in the past. I have a grade 3 slip disc. Like I said, if you saw it, you wouldn't believe what my back looks like. You would think I can't walk. Don't get me wrong, I live with pain 24/7. I just don't show it because it's like you're so used to it. I don't know what it would be like to live pain-free for like the last 20 years. And I don't take any opioids or any of that shit. I refuse. Plus I get sick from it. They open the gates. Oh my God, 109 over there? Mark, there have been times, a couple of times, that I can't even walk. I'm crawling on my hands and knees, and I have to call the ambulance to take me to the hospital. Just for one reason. I can't walk. And they have to give me some shots in my back for pain. Dude, you don't know. Oh my God. It's like lying on a table flat and you're looking this huge needle going into your spine. Oh, and it hurts like hell. I am crying, screaming while this needle is going in my back. You want to talk about it? I know what that's like. And it doesn't help. Like right now, I'm in moderate because of the weather. Right now, I'm in moderate to, I can't say severe, because if it was severe, I wouldn't be sitting here. The pain is getting bad right now because it's the weather too. I have a fractured tailbone from a fall. Oh God. A lot of us have suffered from injuries that, as you get older, it gets worse. Exactly, Olapinye. It's called getting old or older. No doubt. Yeah, I refuse to take any of that addictive nonsense. When I got a spinal tap, they hit a nerve and it felt... Dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm hurting a lot right now in my back. Center, dead center, lower. It's driving me nuts. It's going down my leg. It hit a nerve when it did that. I'm not gonna lie. I was screaming in pain and I had tears. Literally close to crying. Literally. I was like, oh my God, please, just do it quick. And I was freaking out on the table. I'm in severe pain. I'm telling the doctors. I'm not going to just shut up and take it. I'm telling them, please, do what you got to do. I'm suffering. Another thing, every time I get a MRI, and I can't, this is bad. I can't lay flat for more than 15, 20 minutes with the severe pain of the back going down my legs. For those that know this pain, know. I toss and turn all night. I sleep with my legs off the bed because of the way it puts the pressure off of my back. I flip all night. I can't. When I'm in an MRI, the machine, and lay still for 15 minutes, I don't know if I can make it that long. Because the pain is unbelievable. It only takes 10, 15 minutes and I'm in severe pain. I don't know if I'm going to make it. That's how bad it is. That's how fucking bad it is. What's going on in here? Oh my god, I have a cracked vertebrae. My legs are weak and have numbness in my feet and toes. I have that too. It's sad. Fringe is always in pain. She has spinal arthritis, 2 bulging discs, and bone spurs to beat. Yeah. A lot of us have that. Oh, let me just see what you guys are writing now. I'm not seeing much on Telegram at the moment. That is thunder right now here. Sharp, brutal pains, debating whether to go in or tough it out. For what? Surgery? They want to do spinal fusion on me. I refuse. I'm good. Can you? My good Bill, how can you live with that? You just got to. What are you going to do? Give up? Bulging disc, rotator cuff. I had rotator cuff surgery here. In your future, and I have my 3rd hernia surgery scheduled, and I'm 6 foot, 185 pounds, and active, but getting old catches up to you, dude. I'm gonna tell you, having had rotator cuff surgery, I had a very slight tear last year with this one. I don't have no more pain, thank God. I was worried. Last year I had a very slight tear here. They didn't require surgery or nothing. This one did. Prepare for it. It takes a long time to recover. You're going to need physical therapy. You're going to have to sleep uncomfortable for the first 4 to 6 weeks. And you better get the shoulder sports thing where you can, it worked for me, where it has the inserts that you freeze and you can put it in there to pack it with ice. Buy one of those sports shoulder inserts. It is going to save you. Whatever shoulder it is, buy one of those shoulder things. It's a game changer. I highly advise getting one of those. All up in you. Because you can't move it. I was sleeping on a recliner for the first few weeks. It took me 18 months to fully recover. And it's frustrating because after the surgery, you go physical therapy. It took me a year almost to get to here. It took me 18 months to do that pain-free. I have no pain. My surgery was an absolute success. Physical therapy is so important because you will lose the range of your shoulder if you do not do the physical therapy, even if you just do it at home. But make sure you do physical therapy for that shoulder. Otherwise, it's not going to heal properly. Remember that. You want to keep full range of motion when it heals. If you do not do the proper physical therapy, you can lose that range of motion. Again, I'm talking about my own personal experience. The only pain relief. Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you what you mean by that, bong water. Wow, you can't lay flat either, Marianne. You make it for like 3 minutes and it's over. We all go through stuff. Oh my God, look at all of you. Herniated disc, L4, L5. My gosh, what is it with all these back problems, huh? Yeah, we pray for your healing. You do physical therapy for your feet. I can barely reach right arm above my head. Same Bill, they put me on opioids. Getting off of them was harder than surgery. Don't mess with that shit. Don't. Try to avoid that. I hate to say it, I was taking strong ibuprofen. Like right now, if I called my doctor and said I'm having severe back pain, which I do, I can get any of that bullshit, Oxy and Hydro and all that, Percocet, all that. I refuse to get that. And here now they got really strict with that. There's no refills on that. The doctor gives it to you. They got really strict because of the addiction. They got really strict here in New York, at least, with the scripts for that. And there was a lot of fraud, and there was a lot of scamming the system with people getting their scripts refilled and all that, and they caught on to that. So, try to avoid taking that stuff. Try to find more natural, like Bongwater said, remedies. Holistic, like natural. It's tough. It's tough. You just learn to live with it, yeah. Like right now, I'm not kidding. I'm having severe pain. The cigarette is not just it's just like a nerve thing. And I have to quit, obviously, but it's more like it takes my mind off the pain. Looks like these storms are starting to wind down. It's moving to the east. We're going to have a lot more later. All right, let's get back to see what's going. Telegram is quiet. Oh, what is this statement they put out? They're congratulating someone on his election as chairman of the political bureau of the Islamic resistance movement, Hamas. We extend our congratulations to the movement for this blessed choice. Plus, placing the right person in the right position, we stand in solidarity with the Mujahideen, I can't even pronounce it, who has dedicated his life to the cause and the advancement and elevation of the principles of Islam, rejecting injustice and tyranny. He has chosen to confront the absolute evil represented by the illegitimate entity and those who stand behind it, Israel. And he has given 4 of his sons as martyrs who died faithfully and devotedly on the path of liberation, dignity, and honor. We, at the Islamic resistance movement, Al-Nujaba, reaffirm to you that your jihad is our jihad, and that our enemy and your enemy are one. Our path is the path of righteousness, so let us continue on it. God willing, no matter how many enemies gather and conspire against us, for with us is God, the one, the unique, the conqueror of the powerful, and the destroyer of the oppressors. And that was a statement that was put out. And I'll share it on the screen. This is an actual statement that was released, and I put the translation from Arabic to English. Islamic Resistance Al-Nujaba movement. Approximately 20 large oil tankers are likely stranded in the Red Sea due to the blockade imposed by the Yemeni forces on Saudi Arabia. Since these tankers are fully loaded with crude oil and cannot pass through the Suez Canal, this could restrict Saudi Arabia's ability to export crude oil. Because not only are they cut off a lot of the supply in the Strait of Hormuz, now they're cut off, allegedly, claims, exiting the Red Sea into the Gulf of Aden. This is the statement they put out on the other side. So how do the Saudis deal with this now? They're repeating it here. They're probably going to repeat it everywhere. They're repeating it here. What is this? Oh, that has more to do with Ukraine and the disruption in the Caspian Sea of oil. Oh my God, it's 10:30 already? Breaking. At the orders of the Yemeni armed forces is in compliance with the naval blockade, two Saudi, we already read that, made U-turns. That's old news. Now they're saying here, literally, that was the sound you heard. The Houthi blockade on Saudi Arabia has caused 6 ships to change course from docking in Saudi Arabia. The blockade is now in effect. And that's the latest coming out of Telegram. Isn't it crazy what I just read? And I want you, I'm reading it not as a supporter of this, but just to give you an idea what's out there. And like I said, everybody has different opinions. I try to be objective and show you what's going on. You reach your own conclusions. Come on, Saudi Arabia, take care of it. Take care of it. You have the ability. They sure do. But that's going to escalate the whole regional area, which it already has. If they claim they caused the blockade, like that's been the threat for how long? That Iran was going to say to the Houthis, okay, it's time. Close that straight. Well, that's where we're at right now. Now what happens? And how are the markets going to react on this? Probably not much now. Maybe yet. It's going to be interesting to see if any tankers try to get through that strait and are attacked by the Houthis. I think that would be something that causes the markets to definitely react. We shall see. I heard a Muslim guy who said he died with the Lord. He was sent back to say, Lord loves all, spread the word. Have a great one, Fringe. Go exercise. Deb broke her ankle in 3 places last year and had to get operated on. I'm just starting to walk right. Wow. Wait, there's another one. Oh, here we go. Here we go. You ready for this? You ready for Groundhog Day number God only knows how many? Iranian and tennis, and there's a clip from it, but I don't know if he's speaking in English. Iranian Interior Minister Momani met with Pakistan's Interior Minister. He said that productive discussions were held on regional issues and creating opportunities to strengthen relations with both sides, placing particular emphasis on increasing trade and expanding cooperation. How's that possible? How is that even? That is the most ridiculous statement. Creating opportunities to strengthen relations between who? Them and Pakistan? Or the region? With both sides placing particular emphasis on increasing trade and expanding cooperation. So what? What about the region? So they're talking directly between them and Pakistan's direct relationships. But remember, Pakistan has a defense pact with Saudi Arabia. Do you know that, right? If Saudi Arabia is attacked, at some point, Pakistan has an obligation to interfere as well. To get involved. I could look it up. They have a defense pact. Now, would Pakistan actually do it? Knowing that it's going against Iran? That could be what that's about. They're trying to play that game. A strategic mutual defense agreement. That's it. Right here. Keep this in your back of your mind too. Pakistan Saudi Arabia Defense Pact. Just keep this in mind. The agreement commits Pakistan and Saudi Arabia to use all defensive and military means deemed necessary depending on the specific threat. It has been under development for well over a year, so it goes into context. Remember when they struck Israel attack on Qatar, taking out individuals? Well, that raised the flag for them, big time. Because they don't want Israel attacking any Arab country for any reasons whatsoever. At all. And it was actually the Biden administration draft security deal with Saudi Arabia that was designed to, in part, to counter the Chinese influence in the Gulf. So these are things that happen behind the scenes that maybe people do not know. So this is their defense pact. They signed a mutual defense pact with nuclear-armed Pakistan. That this was like a year ago. That treats an attack on one as an attack on both. That's the main gist of it right there. So what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? That if the Saudis are attacked by the Houthis, does that mean Pakistan gets involved and knows that it's an Iran proxy? You know what I'm saying? So let's see if this has any means to any of the situation that's going on right now. Like, what's it going to take for Pakistan if Saudi Arabia is attacked to get involved when it's as simple as that? They signed a mutual defense pact with nuclear-armed Pakistan that treats an attack on one as an attack on both. Well, let's see if that sticks. That's what I was referring to. What do you guys think? You think if the Houthis start, let's just say the Saudis, let's just say a Saudi tanker is hit. Does it depend on who attacks who first? Does it mean that a tanker is not necessarily an attack on the country? Does it have to be territorial in nature? Like, what is the nuances there? Does it take the Houthis to start an actual war with Saudi Arabia for them to get involved? Knowing that the Houthis are proxies of Iran? I don't know. Something to keep it, just think about it. Tusi's live in 30 minutes. IRGC moved to invade Kuwait. We were talking about that yesterday. Trump rejects the war ceasefire. Yes, he did. He said he's not with that 10-day ceasefire deal. I mentioned that earlier. He's not with that proposal. So he's not with this 10-day ceasefire thing. That's the report that I read earlier. Yep, I saw about the six ships have changed course. I read that earlier. But thank you guys for putting in the information, because you guys put stuff that I'm not aware of. What's up, JC? I wanted to ask you what your back problems are. You're that close to being paralyzed. What happens if... Oh, I'm dead. If I fall off the bike? Could be over. I have a grade 3 slip disc. My discs are like this. They're not aligned. It's like this. I am one bad situation from separation. I'm done. That's what it is. In simple terms. But that's not going to stop me. The pain isn't going to stop me. Nothing's going to stop me. The only thing, I'm just being honest. I'm not going to give up. The number's getting higher, higher. It was 4, now 6. Yeah. Goes the other way too if Pakistan is attacked as well. Absolutely, John. Absolutely. It goes both ways. Absolutely. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier that he's meeting with the Lebanese president today. Eugene. The United States is actively involved as the third party on the ground in Lebanon, in the middle of Israel and Lebanon, the government of Lebanon, not Hezbollah, but there's more to that than you realize. There are assets on the ground. I don't know how much you know what's going on in Lebanon, but the president is doing his part to make this happen. And it might be a really good, we'll see how it comes out. It's definitely putting pressure on Iran proxy. We'll see how it works out. Action speaks louder than words. But it looks like they're being very proactive with this. I'm going to look it up. It's already been implemented. Here. Keep an eye on that too. Trilateral framework between the United States of America, the State of Israel, and the Republic of Lebanon. This is the State Department. This is a month ago. Keep an eye on this. I'll put the link in chat. You might want to read more about this and look at the details. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to see where it says that, what I was mentioning. So this is trying to create a peaceful resolution between the actual Lebanese government and Israel. This is not about Hezbollah. But, hopefully they're committed to assert full military and security control within Lebanon. What does that mean? Taking out Hezbollah. Funds, framework. So I would read this. I would definitely check it out if you want to really look into this more closely and with more specifics. And they're building on this. So keep an eye on that. That's why the meeting with the Lebanese president today is actually really important. And the Iraqi meeting, the Syrian. The United States is trying to create a coalition against Iran and its proxies. It's not just business deals. A lot of it is oil related with Iraq. It's also security. So we'll see how this plays out. But keep an eye on this. Because Halliburton just made a big investment in Iraqi oil. Halliburton. Again, there's a lot going on out there that a lot of people may not be aware of what's going on behind the scenes. I monitor so much, it's hard. Here. Right here. You may not be aware of this. Tusi's going live soon, so I'm going to drop off, and maybe he's getting closer to being in South Florida. He wasn't on yesterday. Does that mean he took a trip? He and his wife? His mom is there, his sister. The cats are there. Maybe he's there now. That would be a surprise, right? In his new studio? Here. This just happened recently. Iraq signs joint management deal with U.S. Halliburton for 2 oil fields. How about that? Did you know about that? For 2 oil fields in oil-rich province of Basra. It's part of the strategy to also, let me ask you guys, and let's see who answers the question. Why is this important? Why is this important strategically? Why is this important? I hope it doesn't say it here because I don't want you to see it if they mention it. What is the strategic importance of this as well? Not just the oil. Why is that important? Let me close this door because it's getting bright now and it's starting to annoy me. Think before you answer the question. Why is it important to get the Iraqi infrastructure, the oil infrastructure involved to raise their production levels? Think about it. Less dependency on pipelines through, diverting more away from the Strait of Hormuz and running pipelines through certain countries to get it out. That's the plan. And they're all working on it. The Arab countries, we're working on it with other Arab countries to create other outputs of oil production. Remember, they'll never put their oil through Israel. What about Lebanon? Into the Med. What's the bigger plan here? Would it be Egypt? Think about it. This is all part of the strategy. Long goal, consequences, terms. Think about it. You totally avoid. Now, that doesn't mean that Iran can't go after pipelines and distribution points and all that. But it really takes Iran out of the holding the strait hostage if you create alternative options to get the oil out. Right? Does that make sense? It does. Now again, I don't think Arab oil is going to flow to the Mediterranean via Israel. I don't see that as realistic. But there's other alternative ways that oil can be transported through other areas. You got to create stability in certain areas for that to happen successfully. In certain regions. It's not going to be overnight. But long term, creating alternatives. That's what they're looking into. And I'm trying to find, okay. Because Israel is the size of New Jersey. If you want to make a comparison. I mean, already you know that, believe it or not, a lot of this is interconnected to go through the East-West pipeline But this is where they're cutting it off, the Red Sea. The Saudis have been doing a lot of distribution from here, going out into the Red Sea to the Gulf of Aden. And this is the strait that the Houthis are trying to choke off and prevent these ships from going through. A lot of the Saudi oil has been coming from here. But if you create a situation through Iraq, and again, the Syria connection, and the Lebanon connection, well, if you create a system where you can get the oil flowing out through here and develop it and create that stability here, because it has to start somewhere. Well, like I said, don't expect Arabian oil to flow through Israel, but there's other places they can do it. And I think that's the strategy, is to create a pipeline system that can get out to the Med here. I am doing a lot of speculation. Do you know what I mean? Now, that's not to say things can change depending on the situation in Iran. If the regime falls, I honestly, these people will die to the end. So that's going to be a task. But you got to try to figure out alternative options available to you. But a lot of the oil also goes to where? India. And of course, China. Now, that is insane to go to the Med unless it's supplying Europe. Because that would be crazy to try to go through the Med all the way around and come all the way up here just to get to here. That would be insane. That's just so expensive, so time consuming, ridiculous. So still, that'll help in some ways, but you still got to get the oil that a lot of their customers, especially the Saudis, they still got to get that oil out. That's why this is significant. If this is the blockade, if this is to hold by the Houthis, which I don't know how this is going to play out. No one's testing it right now. Because now this is pretty much we know what the situation is here in the Strait of Hormuz. But now this one getting closed off, the two of them, we got to see how that plays out and how it affects the markets. And do they strike tankers trying to transit through it at some point? Does somebody try? What do the Houthis actually attack vessels over there? Then what? Now there's two areas to watch, not just the Strait of Hormuz. Do you know how much cargo ships go through there? Or are they just focused on oil tankers? A lot of cargo goes through that area too. Let me see about that. I'm going to get off soon because I want to see Tusi. About 10 minutes maybe Tusi's going live? We know about that, how it could trap Saudi oil exports. But it's not just about the oil. And I don't want to spend the rest of my time on talking about it. A full Red Sea closure could place about 7% of global oil supply at risk by preventing much of Saudi Arabia's redirected production from leaving the region. That disruption would be added to the estimated 10% reduction in global oil flows already associated with the Gulf conflict. You don't think it's going to affect the markets? You better believe it is. So again, keep an eye on that. But it's not just oil, it's cargo. 11 minutes to Tusi? Yeah, but it's not about that's the only place safe oil. It's not. Etan. It's not. Unless you develop relationships with the Arab countries that the majority of them don't even recognize the state of Israel, they're not going to have their oil flowing through Israel. Just based on that alone. Now, maybe they come up with an agreement with trade at some point and better relations with the other Arab neighbors. Do you think the Arab countries want to put their oil through Israel and knowing that Israel is the one that controls the flow? That's not realistic. It's just not. The Arabs will never concede that Israel is their point of production exiting of their oil. They're not going to give that much leverage to Israel. They're trying to take the leverage away from Iran. You think they're going to give it to Israel? That's not realistic, in my opinion. And Israel is just as exposed to Iranian strikes than any place else. They'll target those points of those production distribution points just as much. So, no. Israel is not the safest place to put the oil. Because it would be just a target just as much any. They're targeting the Arab neighbors. You don't think they're going to threaten their infrastructure at some point, taking out their oil? They'll do it in Israel. It doesn't matter where it is. They'll do it anywhere. And again, I never can see a point. Maybe at some point, there's relationships that can create a scenario that exists where Arab countries would be willing to have their oil distributed through the Med via Israel. I don't ever see that happening anytime in the near future. No way. The Coast Guard has cutters deployed in the Middle East as part of patrol forces Southwest Asia operating in places like the Persian Gulf and surrounding waters. I think they should do the escorting. It's an idea. How much can we spread ourselves thin too? This is why the other countries need to get involved. The UK needs to step up. Other countries needs to step up. This is enough. But see, they might be like, and I'm just being honest. Well, he bullies us when he wants to bully us, and he's not going to bully us into doing anything for him. He started this. He didn't even tell us about this. He didn't even inform us that he was going to even do this. So what, he's going to bully his way to convince us to do it now? That could be their approach. I don't know. I don't know how they think. I think it has to do more with the internal situation in the ground in the UK, France, Germany, etc., about the threat that exists within their own countries. And knowing that if they get involved in this conflict, they're going to definitely get some shit happening in their own countries by these jihadi extremists that exist. That's my personal opinion, what it is. But I'm sure there's other people that think otherwise. You know, I truly believe it's that. They're worried about the risks internally in their own countries with all these crazy jihadis running around. That's just my personal opinion. And that's why they're slow to react. Or their focus is Russia with NATO. I don't know what it is. But they sure is not doing anything to help the situation in the Persian Gulf. They're not. And I don't want to hear about helping out the cleanup afterwards. We could clean up. You know what I mean? So I don't know. All I know is that right now, we hear the constant same. Impacts in Kuwait just now. It's like constant back and forth. When does this tip some way, somehow? I don't know. The Saudi Arabian cabinet. We strongly condemn the accusations made by the Houthi rebels. I don't know what the hell that's in reference to. Okay, so here goes. You want to hear what this is being added now? Israel believes Iran moved advanced centrifuges enriched uranium to underground facility. Guess what facility that would be? Pickaxe. Is Pickaxe going to be a target soon? Is that trying to convince the president to take strikes against Pickaxe? Impacts in Kuwait. I'll play this because I'm getting off because I want to see what Tusi. Here's an alleged video. Impacts in Kuwait. And you'll see this clip being played by a lot of people that do their podcasting as a source. Shajab News. You'll see a lot of that. So this seems to be something that happened in Kuwait short time ago. This stuff goes on all day. They're sharing that same video. The Lebanese delegation has arrived at the White House. Keep an eye on that today. All right, I'm going to bail out now because I'm going to go watch Tusi. What's going on? It's already in the works according to Afterburner. I watch him too. I'm subscribed to Max. So, again, Tusi's going live. I'm getting off. He's going live literally any second, any minute. Fake Talks Plus about Pickaxe Mountain. I'll play this. I'll click this last one, Diesel. And then I'm out. Might be back later, depending. And keep an eye for those that live in the Gulf area on that low pressure, tropical storm, depression, whatever. Keep an eye on your weather from Louisiana, points east. Oh, but it's Fake Talks. Israeli intelligence believes Iran transferred not only thousands of centrifuges to the fortified Pickaxe Mountain nuclear facility, but also part of its enriched uranium stockpile. But is this intelligence, so-called intelligence, meant to encourage the United States to get involved in striking Pickaxe? I know a lot of people are going to reach that conclusion. No? Oh, so Israeli intelligence is saying this, so does that mean the United States is thinking about striking this because of Israeli intelligence? You know, there's going to be many people thinking that. Oh, here goes Israel trying to get us to hit this target by saying they have intelligence that this is what's happening. But see, here's the problem with this. Israel will not hold back. If they think it's happening and the U.S. doesn't do it, Israel may act unilaterally and hit that target. I don't think they have the capacity to do any real sufficient damage. I don't even know what our so-called bunker busters can do to this location. But do you think that Israel would allow it just to happen? Or would they be proactive and hit it? Question. Don't know. Anyway, love to everybody. Be well, be blessed, be safe. Tusi's going live. I'm out. Have a great one. See everybody later. Have a great rest of your day. God bless everyone. Peace to everyone, our troops, our country, United States as an American, and our president, and everyone, everywhere. All right.